Guys, tonight we drift back in Timno just centuries, not even millennia, but billions of years ago, into a solar system still under construction. You float through a murky soup of rock and fire. Planets haven't quite settled yet. Stars blink like sleepy eyes. And there, in the distance, Earth, or something like Earth, spins furiously, a molten wreck of ambition. It glows with heat. No oceans, no clouds, no Twitter. You probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always cozy knowing where my fellow dreamers are listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You hover above a newborn Earth. It's not the familiar blue and green marble hanging in classrooms. No, this version of home is a seething ball of fire and fury. Think Mad Max, but with fewer cars and a lot more lava. The crust hasn't hardened yet. It's more of a suggestion than a surface. Gases belch from its core, mixing with solar winds. You can't breathe here. Even with the best spacesuit, you'd probably last less than a minute before the heat turns you into a toasted marshmallow with regrets. But you're just an observer tonight, floating, dreamlike, watching chaos unfold in silence. Around you, debris swirls. Space, in its infancy, is far from empty. It's cluttered with hunks of rock the size of cities, planetoids just casually hanging out, many of them doomed to smash into each other eventually. It's less peaceful cosmic ballet and more bumper cars with planetary consequences. Early Earth is one of the biggest players in this rough crowd, flexing its growing gravitational muscles. You drift downward, closer to that hellish surface. Waves of molten metal ripple across the globe, shimmering red-orange under a baby sundae that's not quite sure how to shine yet. It's been just under 100 million years since the solar system began forming. Earth is only about halfway baked. There's no moon yet, no tides, no sunrise or sunset. Just a spinning inferno, glowing like a fever dream. And still, it's beautiful. You can almost feel the heat through your dream. It prickles at your skin like a fevered breeze. The smell in the air, if you could smell it, would be metallic and smoky, like a forge mixed with a lightning storm. You hear nothing. Space is silent, but you imagine a constant deep rumble, the sound of a world exhaling molten breath. Historians still argue whether Earth's formation was a steady buildup or a series of massive chaotic impacts. It was likely both. But the important part for us is that Earth, at this moment, is vulnerable, wobbly, and something is headed straight for it. Out past Earth's orbital edge, a stranger approaches. Another planet, not as large as Earth, but close, about the size of Mars. A rogue wanderer, perhaps nudged into Earth's path by the gravitational shenanigans of Jupiter or Saturn. Its name, much later, will be Theia. But right now, it's just another hungry rock hurtling through space. Not malevolent, just moving with momentum and fate. You spot it in the sky growing larger by the second. It's beautiful in a tragic kind of way. Pale and streaked with ice and iron, wrapped in a faint halo of vapor from the heat of its journey. It glides toward Earth like a dancer who doesn't realize the floor is lava, literally. The distance closes. In your sleep drift, you wonder, could this have been avoided? Did Earth and Theia have a chance to simply pass each other, maybe wave a little, and drift apart? Maybe in another universe, They do, but not here. Not tonight. Ancient Hindu cosmology once described the world as being shaped from the churned ocean of milk chaos, made into order by collision. The early solar system feels like that metaphor brought to life. No milk here, though. Just magma and regret. As Thea nears, its gravity starts to tug on Earth. You see tides swell not oceans, but waves of molten rock pulled toward the incoming mass. The ground bulges like it's trying to scream. Pieces of Earth fling themselves into orbit, even before the hit. And then, not yet. The moment of impact is for another section. Right now, you're suspended at the edge of inevitability, watching two worlds about to collide. Time stretches. You feel the enormity of it. The tension of millions of years pulling taut like a cosmic rubber band. The moon, as we know it, doesn't exist yet. But in this swirling tension, in this catastrophe about to unfold, its ghost is already whispering. Sleep, silver guardian, 1,000 lullabies in the making, waits patiently to be born. Fringe thinkers once proposed that the moon was actually captured just passing by, and Earth nabbed it with gravity like a lazy fisherman. But that's not what you're seeing tonight. The truth, or at least the loudest scientific guess, is far more dramatic. Down below, Earth's crust shudders. Bubbles rise in the magma. The air sizzles with static. You brace yourself metaphorically, of course, for what's coming. And all the while, the stars continue their slow, indifferent dance. You drift closer through the scorched atmosphere of a planet that barely knows it's a planet yet. Earth, or proto-Earth as scientists sometimes call it, is not exactly stable. It spins like a feverish top, tilted just enough to be a little dizzying. Beneath your feet are what would be feet if you weren't floating dreamlike. There's no solid ground, not really. Just a seething ocean of molten rock, constantly shifting and burping up plumes of gas. It's breathtaking, if not especially safe. You hover above a region the size of a continent, though there are no continents yet. Just hot, restless magma jostling for space. Occasionally, you spot flashes of brighter red or even blue, a hint of heavy metals from deep within Earth's belly, pulled upward by convection currents. It's like watching a living wound trying to scab over. And you're here for it. You've probably never had to consider what it's like to float over a lava sea the size of Asia, but it's surprisingly meditative. The waves roll slowly, like syrup left on a stove too long. You notice how the colors pulse with heat. Somewhere in the far-off sky, the sun flickers through a dusty haze of cosmic junk. This isn't the familiar bright disk of your daytime. It's dim, obscured, more of a suggestion than a source of light. This is the Earth you don't see in textbooks, and certainly not the one with oceans and penguins. But it's just as real, maybe more so. It's raw, undecorated. You're seeing your home at its most honest, no trees to hide behind, no atmosphere to wear like a veil. And then there's the spin. Earth is rotating much faster than it does now. A full day might only last 6 hours. It whips you around quickly, and if you weren't imaginary, you'd be nauseous. Instead, you let the spin carry you, lazily orbiting as the surface blurs beneath you. Historians still argue whether Earth's initial rotation was caused by the original dust cloud's momentum or the relentless rain of impacts in its early life. Either way, it's spinning fast, and that spin gives it shape. The planet bulges at the equator, like someone squeezing a water balloon. Gravity works overtime to hold it all together. It's not elegant, but it's determined. Far below, deep in the planet's core, iron and nickel swirl into a semi-organized frenzy. This will someday become Earth's magnetic field, the invisible shield that keeps you from getting microwaved by solar winds. Right now, it's still forming, still deciding if it wants to protect anything or just keep spinning in chaos. Meanwhile, in Earth's upper layers, crust is just trying to form. Thin plates of cooled rock drift across the magma like reluctant lily pads. Some survive a few weeks, maybe a few centuries, before being swallowed up again. You watch one particularly stubborn plate shimmer on the edge of the planet's shadow. It hardens, cracks, and then a nearby eruption consumes it in a single luminous splash. Drama everywhere. And then, a brief pause. The space around you feels momentarily still, as if the cosmos itself is holding its breath. But you know better. You sense the tension building. You remember what's coming. Thea, you glance outward. A faint shimmer appears beyond Earth's limb. Not yet close enough to panic, but definitely too close to ignore. You can't make out much, just a light where there wasn't one before, growing slowly, then quickly. It's like watching a car approach on a dark highway, headlights flickering through the dust. And you really know that Earth's days as a solo act are numbered. Thea is still just a whisper in the night, but already Earth is reacting. Its spin wobbles slightly. Gravitational tides begin to stir the mantle. Small shifts, imperceptible to the planet's own consciousness, if it had one, but visible to you, the silent sleeper watching from above. Here's a fun little fringe fact for your pillow. In the 19th century, a few well-meaning scientists insisted the moon was simply made from Earth's excess. Like clay spun off a potter's wheel, flung into orbit during the early spin. Technically not wrong, but not quite right either. You're watching a version of that theory evolve in real time. The spin, the magma, the tensional parts of the setup. The only thing missing is the punchline. And Thea, well, she's working on it. As you drift, your mind drifts too into myths that haven't been written yet. You imagine what early humans, far in the future, will dream about this moment. A goddess crashing into Earth, a jealous sibling, a heavenly punishment. Mythologies always seem to sense something deeper than data. Maybe, someday, a story will emerge from the scar Thea leaves behind. You float over another bubbling seam in the planet. It smells worked here like sulfur and blood metal. Ancient volcanoes belch quietly, their plumes painting the sky in ash even though no one's watching. The crust continues to crack and reform, a fragile effort at stability, like trying to frost a cake while it's still baking. And still Thea grows larger in the sky. The angle is shallow. Not a head-on collision, but a glancing blow. Enough to hurt, enough to change everything. Scientists call it an oblique impact. And that one word, oblique, will define so much of what comes next. The moon, Earth's tilt, even the eventual rise of breathable air. You wouldn't think such a little angle could carry such heavy consequences. Funny, isn't it? The same way, a single bad date can lead to an entire generation of people with the same nervous laugh. The stars begin to vanish, blocked by Thea's growing silhouette. She's not dark, not yet, just bigger, more real, close enough to cast a shadow, faint but stretching. You can't stop this. You wouldn't want to. This chaos, this moment you realize it's medicine, a necessary blow to shake Earth into coherence, the same way a thunderstorm resets the air or a deep sleep resets the brain. Destruction, here, is a lullaby. You settle into your observation point as Earth spins below, just waiting to be hit like a gong in a cosmic temple. Sleep tight. You don't remember when Thea became enormous in the sky, but now she dominates it. Like a pale, silent leviathan, her round body hovers just beyond Earth's curve. There's no atmosphere yet to scatter light into blue, no clouds to soften the sight, just her huge, ominous, and impossibly quiet. You float above it all, as if from a dream you can't wake from. Earth spins below you like a rotisserie chicken with anger issues, molten and twitchy. Thea approaches sideways, slightly angled. She's not here for a full-on slam, no. This is going to be worse. A glancing strike. Enough to slice Earth open and fling her guts across the cosmos. You feel it before you see it? The first tendrils of gravity pull at Earth's crust like unseen hands. Magma surges toward Thea, rising up in swells. A massive bulge forms where Earth's surface strains to meet its fate, like a blister under pressure. Time stretches impossibly thin. And then, finally, impact. Thea collides with Earth at a speed faster than a bullet, and for a moment, the universe goes white. There's no sound, but you imagine a noise so massive it rips silence itself in half. Light erupts. 1 billion trillion tons of rock melt and vaporize on contact. Everything you thought was solid becomes liquid, then gas, then plasma. It's like watching a mountain range be turned into steam in a blink. Thea plunges deep into Earth's mantle, and for one surreal moment, the two planets are one-locked in an incandescent embrace. It's not romantic, it's catastrophic. Like kissing someone with fireworks in their mouth and no teeth left after. Molten rock sprays outward in all directions, glowing like shooting stars caught in slow motion. Chunks the size of cities are flung high into orbit. Some spiral out and never return. Some loop back like boomerangs. A few form temporary moons that don't survive the week. You drift through the wreckage, stunned. It's like floating through a lava lamp on a very bad acid trip. And right there, in the newly minted chaos, the future moon begins to stir. You don't remember when Thea became enormous in the sky, but now she dominates it. Like a pale, silent leviathan, her round body hovers just beyond Earth's curve. There's no atmosphere yet to scatter light into blue, no clouds to soften the sight, just her huge, ominous, and impossibly quiet. You float above it all, as if from a dream you can't wake from. Earth spins below you like a rotisserie chicken with anger issues, molten and twitchy. Thea approaches sideways, slightly angled. She's not here for a full-on slam, no. This is going to be worse. A glancing strike. Enough to slice Earth open and fling her guts across the cosmos. You feel it before you see it? The first tendrils of gravity pull at Earth's crust like unseen hands. Magma surges toward Thea, rising up in swells. A massive bulge forms where Earth's surface strains to meet its fate, like a blister under pressure. Time stretches impossibly thin. And then, finally, impact. Thea collides with Earth at a speed faster than a bullet, and for a moment, the universe goes white. There's no sound, but you imagine a noise so massive it rips silence itself in half. Light erupts. 1 billion trillion tons of rock melt and vaporize on contact. Everything you thought was solid becomes liquid, then gas, then plasma. It's like watching a mountain range be turned into steam in a blink. Thea plunges deep into Earth's mantle, and for one surreal moment, the two planets are one-locked in an incandescent embrace. It's not romantic, it's catastrophic. Like kissing someone with fireworks in their mouth and no teeth left after. Molten rock sprays outward in all directions, glowing like shooting stars caught in slow motion. Chunks the size of cities are flung high into orbit. Some spiral out and never return. Some loop back like boomerangs. A few form temporary moons that don't survive the week. You drift through the wreckage, stunned. It's like floating through a lava lamp on a very bad acid trip. And right there, in the newly minted chaos, the future moon begins to stir. The chaos fades, like a thunderclap echoing into silence. You drift through what used to be a battlefield now, a soft, glowing orbit of dust and molten shrapnel. It's quieter now, but not still. Pieces of Earth and millions of them continue their graceful collision dance above the simmering surface of the planet. You float within this glowing ring, mesmerized. It circles Earth like a hula hoop made of lava and regret. The fragments range in size from grains of ash to boulders the size of skyscrapers. They collide and separate, collide again, each bump stealing a little bit of speed, a little bit of chaos. You feel it happening, a kind of gravitational consensus forming. This is the moon's nursery. Earth, far below, is still an angry red eye, sleepless and spinning. Her surface has been gouged out, her core rearranged, her crust scorched beyond recognition. But here, above her, a kind of peace begins to settle. You can feel gravity sifting through the debris like fingers through sand, pulling the larger pieces inward, letting the smaller ones fall away. Some of this debris will never make it into the moon. A chunk of it will spiral back to Earth, lighting up the sky in bursts of fire, raining down like falling stars no one is around to wish on. The rest, it will be slowly gathered, clumped, compacted, pulled together by sheer cosmic stubbornness into the beginnings of a sphere. This takes time, of course hundreds, maybe thousands of years. But here in your drifting dream state, time is syrupy, slow, unhurried. You watch the process unfold like a time lapse sped up just for you. One piece of fringe theory floats into your sleepy thoughts. What if the moon we have now wasn't the first? Some fringe geologists have proposed there may have been a short-lived proto-moon formed after the impact unstable, doomed and eventually crashed back into Earth. A trial run, if you will. The cosmic equivalent of baking a cake, realizing you forgot the sugar, and trying again. Whether that's true or not, something is clearly working now. The debris is organizing itself. You watch a massive chunk of molten rock slowly attract a smaller cluster. They spiral, bump, and hold. Another joins, and another. The proto-moon, still nameless, is beginning to form. Historians still argue whether the moon was born from a single, dominant chunk that absorbed everything else, or if multiple moonlets merged over time like a crowd squeezing into a selfie. Either way, the result is the same. A sphere begins to grow. It's not smooth yet. It's a lumpy, cratered mess. More potato than pearl, but it's real. And it's orbiting Earth. Not spinning wildly off into space, not crashing back down, orbiting. And that changes everything. Because now, Earth has a companion, a stabilizer. A quiet watcher who, over the next few billion years, will influence tides, sleep cycles, poetry, werewolf fiction, and crop planting calendars. All of it starts here, with this glowing pile of debris learning to hold hands. You drift closer to this baby moon, watching it turn slowly, painfully, as if it's still unsure what shape it wants to be. Its surface is blistered, coated in molten scars. Meteor impacts pocket constantly. Some fragments never got the memo they crash in, like rude party guests slamming into its sides, leaving craters that may never heal. There's a strange peace in the violence, though. Like the moon knows this is how growth works, trial by fire, or in this case, trial by vacuum, heat, and gravity. You let your imaginary toes graze its surface. It sizzles, still molten in places but cooling rapidly. Every impact helps shed a little more heat. Every orbit stretches its form just a little smoother. Below, Earth watches. Her own spin has slowed slightly from the impact, though she's still twirling faster than the modern version you're used to. Day and night flash by in 6-hour loops. You notice how the angle of her spin has shifted, now tilted, not upright. That wobble? That's Thea's legacy too. and it will be one of the most important accidents in history. You may not realize it yet, but that till roughly 23.5 degrees, the reason seasons exist. Without it, Earth would be locked in eternal sameness. No summer vacations, no autumn leaves. No winter coats, just the same climate, forever. Probably boring, definitely uncomfortable. So, in a weird way, this violent collision is what lets you enjoy pumpkin spice lattes. See? Science is personal. Another strange thought rises from the dusty corners of your mind. There's no water here. Not yet. No oceans to reflect the moonlight. No lakes to ripple under its glow. But one day, thanks to icy comets and planetary chemistry, there will be oceans. And when that happens, this moon will begin pulling on them, softly. It will stir tides, influence currents, teach the planet how to breathe in rhythm. And with that rhythm, sleep. Because sleep doesn't just come from the sun setting. It comes from cycles, predictability, the quiet reassurance that the world will move in the same way, over and over again. The moon will provide that. Steady, predictable, present. It hasn't even finished forming yet, and already it's preparing to tuck the Earth in. You glide backward, letting the moon drift into the distance a little. It's still close, much closer than it will be later. Right now, it hovers above Earth like a sibling that hasn't figured out personal space. But that'll change. Over time, it will inch away, centimeter by centimeter, every year. A slow retreat that continues even today. Eventually, it will settle into the orbit we now call normal. But you'll always remember it like this raw, fresh, half-formed, glowing in Earth's red-shadowed sky, like a promise. The stars blink around you. Dust slowly settles. You realize you're watching a kind of recovery, not just a formation. Earth is starting to stabilize. The worst is over. Well, for now. Sleep, for planets, is like it is for people. Not just rest, repair. Thea may be gone, but the scar she left behind is learning how to shine. The moon is still soft. You can feel it beneath its crust. It's churning like an upset stomach. Heat pulses inside, left over from the collision, from the constant bombardment, from its hurried birth. But above all, it's beginning to cool. It exhales that heat into the vacuum with slow, radiant dignity. No hiss, no steam, just a long, silent glow like a lantern hung in the void. You float beside it, watching the outer layers solidify. From liquid fire to brittle stone, from raw chaos to cratered skin. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere, so there's nothing to soften its surface. Every incoming rock hits like a punch hard, unforgiving, permanent. That's why the scars last. Why they'll still be visible billions of years later when people with telescopes, and later, boots, come to say hello. Below, Earth is beginning to wear her own new face. She's still covered in magma, ocean-shook pools of molten rock that glimmer like liquid mirrors, but she's starting to crust over. You can see it in the flickering edges, in the way her glow dims in patches. Cooling is a slow process. Healing takes time, especially after something that apocalyptic. Still, you sense progress. The moon's orbit stabilizes a little more each century. Gravity has worked its quiet magic, locking it into a gentle, predictable path. It doesn't tumble. It doesn't spin wildly. Instead, it settles into synchronous rotation, what we now call tidal locking. It means one side of the moon will always face Earth. A weird thought, right? That this entire satellite rotates at just the right pace to always keep the same face toward you. It's not a coincidence, it's physics. Tidal forces between Earth and the Moon gradually synced up their rhythms until the Moon stopped spinning relative to Earth. Now it just sort of follows you around like a shy friend who never turns their head. Historians still argue whether this tidal locking happened early in the Moon's life or later, once it cooled completely. Some believe it took millions of years. Others think the early chaos forced a quick lock. Either way, you're now looking at a face you'll grow to know very well the near side. It's already starting to show features. The darker region's vast lava plains called Mariar, forming from newer impacts and internal leaks. The brighter highlands stand out like wrinkles on an aging cheek. The far side, which you'll never see from Earth without machines or imagination, is bumpier, rougher, a little more introverted. And now, something new begins. The Moon's pull. It tugs gently on Earth's newly forming surface, and as oceans slowly arrive delivered by icy comets and volcanic vapor, those waters feel the Moon's draw like fingertips brushing a shoulder. Tides begin. They're small at first, jerky, even. But they bring with them a rhythm Earth didn't have before. It's hard to overstate how weirdly helpful this is. The tides do more than slosh water around. They churn nutrients, guide currents, and eventually shape coastlines into the cradles where early life will flourish. That's later. For now, just let the idea simmer. The Moon is teaching Earth how to move. You hover in the stillness and think about that. The idea that something so violent, so cataclysmic, result in stability. That this ball of rock, born in fire, could become a metronome for oceans and seasons, for migrations and dreams. People will one day write songs about this light in the sky. They'll invent gods and calendar systems. Farmers will look to it for planting. Lovers will stare at it and sigh dramatically. Entire werewolf franchises will owe their existence to this spinning chunk of debris, and none of it would have happened if Earth hadn't taken that punch to the face from Theia. Fringe thinkers have offered a few other bizarre suggestions for why the Moon is the way it is. One lesser-known theory claims the Moon is a cosmic mirror, deliberately positioned to reflect Earth's development and emotional state, as if it grows or fades in sync with human history. Yeah, that's poetic and deeply unscientific, but it does explain why people get weird around full moons. Back in the realm of real geology, there's another ongoing mystery. The Moon is too dry. For a body formed from Earth's crust, it has suspiciously little water in its minerals. Scientists still debate whether that means it lost its volatiles during formation, or whether Theia itself was already a dry rock. Or possibly that we're missing something crucial. Some whisper, again, about alternative origins. A second impact? A missing volatile-rich layer? The debate continues. But the Moon doesn't care. It just keeps circling. From your sleepy vantage point, the view is shifting subtly. The ring of debris around Earth has thinned. Most of it either joined the Moon or fell back to Earth. What was once a messy playground is now a neatly choreographed orbit. It's amazing what a few million years can do when gravity is left alone with a pile of rubble. You trace the Moon's shadow across Earth's surface. Even now, it's influencing the planet below, causing slight wobbles, softening the wild spin from earlier, lending stability to Earth's tilt-keeping those precious seasons in place. Without the Moon, Earth might wobble like a top over time, unstable, prone to wild axial shifts. Some simulations suggest that without the Moon, Earth's tilt could swing by tens of degrees, causing chaotic climate shifts every few thousand years, ice ages and heat waves at random. Not the kind of vibe you want for long-term evolution. But with the Moon, Earth holds steady. Predictable enough for forests to form, for creatures to adapt, for civilizations to try and fail and try again. This is when you realize the moon isn't just a rock. It's a partner. You drift further back now, just far enough to take in the whole scene. Earth, scarred but solidifying. The moon, pale and pocked, finally content in its orbit. The space between them is not empty, it's full of push and pull, a tension you can feel, like two dancers holding hands across a quiet floor. You think of sleep again, how it feels to finally find that one position where your spine stops complaining and your thoughts stop racing. That little click when everything lines up and your brain gives you permission to drift. That's where Earth and the moon are now. That click. The cradle has formed. The lullaby has begun. You close your eyes to the faint, steady rhythm of orbit and let yourself rock with it. The glow from the young moon fades a little more each century, but its presence becomes deeper, heavier, more essential. You feel it now like a heartbeat beneath everything. Earth has begun to respond, not just physically, but rhythmically. The tidal pull is no longer just shifting oceans. It's whispering to the crust, to the newly forming atmosphere, and to time itself. You drift down through thin clouds made of volcanic breath. Earth's surface is crusting over in earnest now, no longer a sea of magma, but a cracked, cooling skin. It's still dangerous. Volcanoes spit with anger, tectonic plates drift aimlessly, but it's land, solid ground, or at least something like it. Here's something historians love to debate. How quickly did Earth's crust truly form? Was it a fast process geologically speaking or a slow simmer? Some argue for a magma-ocean solidification model, where the entire planet crusted over relatively quickly, perhaps in a few tens of millions of years. Others picture it happening in fits and starts, like a drunk trying to put on socks. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in between. But what matters now is that the planet is calming, and with that calm comes a new visitor: water. Not the trickle of a garden hose or the splash of a rainy day. No, this is cosmic water. Delivered by icy comets and hydrated minerals, crashing through the atmosphere like blue confetti from the universe's secret stash. You watch them streak in on after another delivering their cargo. Some boil off instantly in the heat, others nestle into crevices and wait. Eventually, enough of them stick around. Pools form, lakes, then oceans. Shallow at first, tinted rust red from iron-rich minerals, but water nonetheless. The kind of water that reshapes worlds. The moon is watching. Its gravity starts to flex Earth's new oceans like a stress ball, pulling on them as Earth rotates beneath. You see the first tide's gentle bulges that sweep around the globe, carving shorelines into strange patterns. These tides don't just move water, they start to erode rocks, break things down, mix minerals, create tiny pockets of chemistry. It's like the moon is stirring a pot, making soup, a primordial one. And this soup, it's a miracle waiting to happen. Down in those tidal pools where water comes and goes, where heat and minerals blend in chaotic harmony, life will one day spark. Not tonight, not even this millennium, but soon, by planetary standards. You bend close to a steaming pool and imagine it, complex molecules dancing, combining, splitting, forming chains, RNA, DNA, whatever flavor of origin story you prefer, all because of heat, water, chemistry, and the moon's gentle tug. It's almost too poetic to be real. But there's a weird tidbit you stumble over while watching some scientists suggest that without a moon, this might never have happened. The tides would have been weak, random, forgettable. Not enough motion, not enough mixing, no soup, no spark, no single-celled amoebas evolving into TikTok influencers. There's even a fringe theory, usually whispered among astrobiologists who've had too much coffee, that Earth is weirdly lucky to have such a large moon. Proportionally, it's huge. Most planetary moons are tiny little sidekicks. Ours? It's practically a twin. The theory suggests that this rare setup might be a requirement for complex life. No big moon, no stable tilt, no strong tides, no life. It's speculative, sure, but it makes you glance at that silvery globe with a little more reverence. Back on Earth, the atmosphere is thickening. Carbon dioxide and nitrogen fill the skies, plus a smattering of hydrogen sulfide and other volcanic extras. Oxygen? Nowhere to be seen, not yet. You breathe in, instinctively, and choke on the thought. This is not an atmosphere for sleeping in, but it's one for dreaming. Because deep below the waves, at the edges of hydrothermal vents and under tidal shores, life will soon begin. And the moon, though silent, will guide it like a cosmic metronome, day after day, year after year, pulling, stirring, nudging. You look again at the tilt of the Earth, stabilized now into its familiar 23.5 degrees. Without the moon, that tilt could wander like a drunk compass. But with it, Earth enjoys long periods of calm. Predictable seasons, climate zones, ecosystems that can rely on the rhythm of sunrise and snowfall. It's no coincidence that the world's biodiversity blooms within the safe margins the moon helps protect. And there's something else, something sleepier. As the skies clear, sunlight and moonlight begin to alternate. Days grow longer, more gentle. Nights deepen. The moon reflects sunlight onto darkened continents, a soft reminder that not all light must burn. Eventually, life forms will evolve to notice this. Some will hunt by moonlight, some will hide from it. Some, like you, will stare at it from their beds, trying to calm a racing mind. And when life begins to evolve circadian rhythms, you'll have this lunar cycle to thank. The push and pull of tides taught your ancestors when to feed, when to rest. The waxing and waning of the moon became a calendar, long before we carved months into stone. Even your sleep cycles today echo those ancient patterns. REM, deep sleep, light sleep, all dancing to a rhythm that began when a planet crashed into Earth and left behind a glowing wound. Historians still argue how much of human behavior is lunar. Some call it superstition. Others point to real, measurable changes in behavior, hormones, and even crime rates. The full moon's influence may be more than just metaphor, but we haven't cracked the full code yet. You don't need to. You just need to feel it now. The soft rise and fall of Earth's newborn tides, the steady orbit above, the settling of heat into stone, the hush of stars watching. Your limbs grow heavy, your thoughts slow. You're suspended in this newborn world, a place of fire becoming water, chaos becoming rhythm. And at the center of it all, that quiet silver companion, pulling the strings gently, patiently, lovingly. The moon doesn't just mark the night. It teaches the planet how to sleep. The Earth turns slowly beneath your feet now. You barely notice it, except for the shifting of shadows and the slow dance of light across the moon's surface. What once spun violently like a top just released from a frantic hand now rotates with a kind of weary grace. You settle into that motion, rocking slightly as if on the deck of an ancient wooden ship. And you realize days are getting longer. At first, after the Theia impact, Earth spun once every 4 to 6 hours. Days were nothing more than frantic blink sunrise, sunset, repeat. But now, thanks to the moon, the brakes are gently being applied. Its gravitational pull tugs against Earth's rotation, creating tidal friction. It's like dragging your foot on a merry-go-round to slow it down, not enough to stop it, just enough to make the ride less dizzying. The change is glacial, imperceptible over a human lifetime. But cosmic time? That's a different scale. And over hundreds of millions of years, Earth's stay stretches to 10 hours, then 12, then the familiar 24 we know now. This has implications for everything: winds, weather, the very way energy is distributed across the globe. You lie back and feel the sky gently dim above you. Night is stretching too. With longer nights comes something unexpected. Dreams. Not yours, those will come later, but the planet's. The longer darkness gives room for cooling, for rest, for experimentation. You watch frost form on new rocks near the poles, see steam hiss from cracks that cool just long enough to let the air bite back. These longer nights give creatures more space to explore the dark. When life eventually stirs on Landians from Knowit, we'll use that darkness like a playground. Some will evolve sight-tuned specifically for moonlight. Others will hide, wait, sleep, all because the moon is slowing Earth down. Here's a historical nugget for you. Early human societies noticed this, even if they didn't have the language to explain it. Ancient Babylonian records from over 2,500 years ago tracked lunar cycles with astonishing accuracy. Some even speculated about connections between the moon's behavior and human affairs. Not just tides and timekeeping, but emotions, fertility, even madness. That's where the word lunatic comes from. Luna, the moon. As if it whispers strange ideas into the minds of night wanderers. Fringe thinkers always, a colorful bunch, have taken this further. One odd but memorable theory claims the moon is a hollow structure, possibly artificial, possibly ancient. A few even suggest it rings like a bell when struck, citing Apollo-era seismic data as proof. It's wild, yes, but also weirdly comforting. Imagining the moon as some kind of dormant spacecraft, just keeping watch. You smile and move on, because here's what you do know. Earth and moon are still locked in their slow gravitational waltz. Every time tides roll in, a bit of energy transfers from Earth's spin to the moon's orbit. It's like paying a toll to your satellite. As Earth slows, the moon drifts farther away by about 3.8 centimeters each year. Not much, just enough to keep things interesting. One day, far into the future, this will change the view of a solar eclipse. Right now, the moon appears just big enough to perfectly cover the sun thanks to a cosmic coincidence of distance and size. But as the moon drifts away, that perfect fit will vanish. Millions of years from now, eclipses will look like rings of fire instead of black discs. Beautiful, but different. It's a reminder. Nothing stays exactly the same, not even the moon. You watch as the moon, now cooling fast, starts to show more scars. The late heavy bombardment arrives like a cosmic hailstorm, millions of rocks smashing into both Earth and moon. You wince at the soundless violence. Craters blossom across the lunar surface like acne on a teenager's skin. Some so deep they almost punch through the crust. Others forming the dark blotches that early humans would later interpret as the man in the moon. Historians still argue whether this barrage was a one-time galactic accident or the tail end of planetary migration. Some blame Jupiter, whose shifting orbit may have flung asteroids inward like marbles across a kitchen floor. Others think it was inevitable, just debris finally running out of energy. Either way, it's brutal, and it leaves a permanent record. Earth, with its atmosphere and active geology, heals over time. Craters melt, erosion wipes the slate clean. But the moon? She remembers everything. You can still see the evidence of that trauma every time you glance up. Every pockmark, every scar, every silent scream etched in dust and stone. But don't be alarmed. She survived it, and so did Earth. The world below is shifting again. Tectonic plates are beginning to move in more organized patterns. Volcanoes form ridges and island chains. Earth's crust isn't just solidifying, it's reorganizing, learning to recycle itself. The moon watches from a respectful distance, like a parent giving space, still guiding, still pulling, but letting Earth find her footing. And now, something strange and wonderful begins to happen. Earth starts spinning into a rhythm not just of days and tides, but of life. The moon's influence helps synchronize internal clock circadian rhythms in emerging organisms. These biological rhythms are incredibly ancient, embedded even in bacteria. They align with the rising and setting of the sun, the push and pull of the tides, and the lengthening of the night. It's the planet learning to rest, learning to dream. You feel that rhythm settle into your own body, a slow oceanic pulse beneath your ribs. Your breath deepens, your eyes grow heavier. The moon, high above, reflects just enough light to guide nocturnal wanderers. Not too much to burn, just enough to see. And so begins the long tradition of using the moon as a calendar. 12 or 13 cycles a year, enough to measure time before we invented numbers, enough to track migrations, mating seasons, and the ripeness of fruit. All while Earth turns a little slower, sleeps a little longer. You take one last look at the moon tonight. It's brighter now than it was at birth, even though it's cooled. Its reflective surface, covered in fine, glassy dust called regolith, bounces light like a dream catcher hung in the sky. That light finds your face, cool, calm, familiar. And just like Earth's tides, you begin to drift. The moon's quiet pull continues, but now you start to sense the growing complexity of Earth itself. It's no longer just a molten ball with a companion. It's becoming a planet with layers, with moods and personality. You feel the crust beneath your feet thickening, folding into mountains, valleys, and plains not yet recognizable, but real. The tectonic plates, which have spent eons forming and reforming, begin to drift more purposefully. They carry minerals, nutrients, and water elements that will eventually foster life. Remember that bit from earlier about Earth's slow spin and how it affects climate? Well, it also influences tectonics. A slower rotation means weaker Coriolis forces, which impacts atmospheric circulation patterns. These patterns, in turn, shape weather and erosion, subtly sculpting Earth's surface. The oceans are getting larger, deeper, filled with minerals delivered by those cometary guests. And in their depths, something magical begins to happen. Life's ingredients come together: amino acids, nucleotides, the building blocks that will soon assemble into RNA and DNA. Historians of science still debate exactly when and how these molecules first formed. Was it in tidal pools, hydrothermal vents, or deep beneath the ocean floor? Probably a little bit of all. A quirky fact for you. Some fringe theories suggest life might have even begun in space, hitchhiking on meteorites. The idea, known as panspermia, proposes that Earth's earliest organisms were cosmic stowaways. While it's not the mainstream consensus, it adds a dash of sci-fi charm to the story. Back on Earth, the moon continues to stabilize the planet's axial tilt, preventing wild swings that could cause catastrophic climate shifts. Without it, seasons might have been so erratic that life never had a chance to evolve beyond simple forms. This stabilization sets the stage for biodiversity to flourish millions of years later. You feel the slow, steady rhythm of days and nights, tides and seasons imprinting themselves on the planet's surface and its emerging life. The moon's presence is not just a relic of a violent past, it's a vital force shaping the future. As the planet cools and waters settle, the first signs of primitive life stir in the shallow seas. It's a quiet, almost imperceptible beginning, but it marks the start of a long journey from simple molecules to complex organisms. You close your eyes, feeling the gentle tug of the moon, the soothing cycle of tides, and the promise of life awakening in the vast, blue expanse. The first flickers of life beneath the ocean's surface are subtle, almost invisible to the naked eye. You lean in closer, your breath shallow, and watch the microscopic dance of single-celled organisms. These tiny pioneers cling to rocky shores and float in nutrient-rich waters, shaping the chemistry of their world as much as the world shapes them. Imagine a world without green plants or towering forests, a silent ocean filled with simple, squirming life. Some of these organisms use sunlight for energy, beginning the long process of photosynthesis. Others feed on chemicals spewing from underwater vents, thriving in conditions that would kill most modern creatures. Here's a mainstream fact. Photosynthesis is thought to have evolved around 3.5 billion years ago. This process doesn't just power life, it changes the atmosphere itself by producing oxygen as a byproduct. But oxygen wasn't always abundant. For a long time, Earth's atmosphere was toxic-rich in methane, ammonia, and other gases that would make you gag instantly. Fun fact: before oxygen filled the skies, some bacteria used arsenic instead of phosphorus in their DNA. Scientists discovered this recently in extreme environments, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about the limits of life. Meanwhile, the moon's gravitational dance continues. Tides grow stronger as oceans deepen, rhythmically flushing nutrients and stirring the primordial soup. This tidal action creates coastal zones where water rises in full sweat and dry, warm and cool, offering ideal conditions for early life to experiment and evolve. Historians and scientists still argue about how critical these tidal pools were. Were they the cradles of life, or just one of many stages? The answer remains elusive, but the connection between tides and life's origins feels undeniable. Back in the shallow seas, the first simple ecosystems begin to form. Microbes cluster into colonies, sharing resources, competing, and cooperating. Some form stromatolite-layered biofilms that trap sediment and create visible structures. These stromatolites are among the earliest evidence of life, and you find them fascinating to watch, like underwater cities of slime. As oxygen begins to accumulate, it reacts with iron in the oceans, creating massive deposits of rust-colored rock called banded iron formations. These formations become geological records, marking the gradual transformation of Earth's atmosphere. The moon keeps turning, pulling tides and stabilizing Earth's rotation. Without this balance, the early ecosystems might never have had the consistent conditions needed to thrive. The dance between Earth and Moon is delicate and essential, like a carefully choreographed ballet that shapes the very possibility of life. You feel a wave of calm wash over you, syncing your breath with the endless, gentle ebb and flow. The story of Earth and Moon is far from over, but this chapter, the one where life begins, is a soothing lullaby for the restless planet. You feel yourself sinking deeper into this watery world where tides pulse like the heartbeat of a newborn planet. The moon's gravity gently rocks the oceans, creating a slow, endless rhythm that guides everything from the movement of water to the timing of life itself. Life, now modest but resilient, begins its long journey toward complexity. Single-celled organisms start to form more intricate structures like colonies and mats. These microbial communities share nutrients, communicate chemically, and even protect each other. It's social life on the smallest scale, a precursor to everything that comes next. Here's a mainstream fact. Around 2.4 billion years ago, Earth experienced the Great Oxidation Event, a massive increase in atmospheric oxygen due to photosynthetic microbes. This oxygen reshaped the planet's chemistry, poisoning many anaerobic organisms, but opening the door for aerobic life and more complex organisms. But before you get too comfy with that textbook timeline, there's a quirky twist. Some studies suggest oxygen levels might have fluctuated wildly, with whiffs of oxygen appearing and disappearing before the big event finally stuck. It's like Earth was trying out different atmospheres, as if shopping for the perfect outfit, sometimes too much oxygen, sometimes too little, before settling on the mix we know today. The Moon continues to stabilize Earth's axial tilt, preventing extreme climate swings. This stability is crucial for evolving ecosystems. Without it, Earth's climate might have oscillated wildly, like a pendulum with no damping, making the slow march of evolution nearly impossible. Historians and geologists still debate the precise role of the Moon in Earth's climate regulation. Was its presence essential or merely helpful? The jury's out, but most agree that without a large moon, Earth would be a very different place, perhaps too chaotic for life as we know it. In these ancient oceans, the first eukaryotic cells emerge organisms with a nucleus and organelles. This leap in cellular complexity is a game changer. It sets the stage for multicellular life, eventually leading to plants, animals, and you. You imagine the first algae floating lazily near the surface, soaking up sunlight and turning it into energy. You think about the rhythms imposed by day and night, tides and seasons, and how these cycles become deeply embedded in life's DNA. The Moon's presence is a steady metronome, ticking off the beat to which life learns to dance. As you drift, the ancient seas shimmer with the quiet promise of future forests, mountains, and creatures yet to come. The Moon, ever watchful, pulls the tides and stabilizes the Earth, a silent partner in this grand symphony. And as the tides rise and fall, you feel a gentle weight on your eyelids. The lullaby of Earth and Moon is soothing, a cosmic rhythm that beckons you toward rest. You're almost lulled entirely by the slow, timeless rhythms of tides and nights. But the Earth beneath you is waking up. Life, after those humble beginnings, starts to spread its wings well. Not literal wings yet, but the groundwork for diversity is laid. The oceans teem with new forms, each finding its niche in this growing ecosystem. Remember those stromatolites? They're still around, stubborn little survivors of a world long past. But new players have entered the stage eukaryotes, evolving into multicellular organisms. It's a turning point. Now, life isn't just tiny blobs. It's colonies of cells, specializing in cooperating, a bit like the first awkward attempts at society. Here's a fact to tuck away. The Cambrian explosion, roughly 540 million years ago, is when life really boomed in complexity. Suddenly, the seas filled with creatures sporting eyes, shells, and limbs. Scientists still argue about what exactly triggered this sudden burst. Was it oxygen levels? Environmental changes? Maybe the Moon's stabilizing influence, which gave evolution a steady canvas? A quirky bit. Some fringe theories speculate that early complex life was influenced by the Moon's gravitational waves, subtle rhythmic forces that could have affected cellular processes. While this idea isn't mainstream, it's a fun thought life tuning itself to a cosmic metronome. The moon's role in tides becomes even more crucial here. These rhythmic flows create coastal habitats, estuaries, and tidal pools, which become cradles of diversity and evolutionary innovation. Life learns to exploit the constant wet-dry cycles, adapting to new challenges and opportunities. You sense Earth's growing pains, tooth-first mass extinctions, shaking ecosystems, volcanic eruptions, reshaping landscapes, and shifting climates. But through it all, the moon remains a steady guardian, preventing extreme tilts that could spell disaster. You watch as early life ventures onto land-tiny moss-like plants and simple fungi, clinging to moist rocks and soil. The moon's light guides these pioneers in the dark, a soft silver glow in the night. Historians still debate how exactly life made this leap from sea to land. Was it a slow crawl fueled by tides, or a sudden jump triggered by environmental stress? The mystery remains part of the allure. You feel your own pulse slow, syncing with the planet's deepening cycles. The dance of Earth and Moon continues, timeless and unbroken. And as you drift in this cosmic lullaby, you realize this story isn't just about rocks and tides. It's about connection, about rhythm, about finding balance in an ever-changing universe. Your eyelids grow heavier. Your senses drift through this ancient world, now rich with the first whispers of land life. The soil beneath you is still young, a mixture of broken rocks, organic debris, and slowly accumulating minerals. It feels rough, uneven, like the first pages of a book waiting to be written. And written it will be by mosses, liverworts, and early fungi taking their tentative steps onto dry ground. Imagine standing at the edge of a primordial swamp where thick mist curls over still waters and strange shapes move just beyond sight. The moon's pale light casts long shadows, painting the landscape in silver and charcoal. It's both eerie and oddly comforting, like a soft blanket draped over the planet's raw wounds. A mainstream fact. The earliest known land plants appeared roughly 470 million years ago. These hardy pioneers transformed Earth's surface, stabilizing soil and altering the atmosphere by pumping oxygen. Without them, the planet would look very different, less green, less alive. Now, for a quirky thought, some scientists propose that early plants communicated underground through networks of fungal threads known as mycorrhizae. This wood-wide web allowed them to share nutrients and warn each other of dangers, much like social networks today. It's fascinating to think that even in these primitive times, life found ways to cooperate. The moon's influence remains a quiet, guiding force. Its gravity continues to pull tides, influencing rainfall patterns and climate cycles. These rhythms help shape ecosystems, ensuring that life on land experiences predictable changes, wet and dry seasons, day and night, that are crucial for survival. Historians still debate how essential the moon's stabilizing effect on Earth's tilt was for the colonization of land. Some argue that without a consistent axis, extreme seasonal shifts might have made terrestrial life impossible. Others think early organisms were tougher than we give them credit for. You notice the first footprints, tiny and fleeting, of creatures beginning to explore the land arthropods like early insects and millipedes. They scuttle across damp soil, their legs tapping a soft Morse code in the moonlight. These early land animals adapt to the new challenges of gravity, dehydration, and temperature swings. The moon's steady light provides a night guide, a gentle beacon for navigation and rest. You breathe in the cool, damp air, feeling the weight of history pressing gently on your chest. This is a moment of transformation, the planet truly coming alive in a new way. Your thoughts slow as you sink deeper into this timeless scene. The Earth and Moon's partnership continues, a duet of gravity and light, tides and time, shaping the future one gentle pull at a time. Your eyelids grow heavier still, the rhythm of life syncing with your own breath. You drift now through an age where the Earth's surface hums with life's growing chorus. Forests begin to rise, giant trees stretching skyward, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind. The moon watches silently from above, its steady glow bathing these vast green cathedrals in silver light. Imagine wandering through a dense, carboniferous forest where dragonflies with 2-foot wingspans zip past, and the air is thick with the scent of resin and damp earth. The planet's atmosphere is rich in oxygen, far more than today, which fuels this explosive growth. A mainstream fact here: the Carboniferous period, about 359 to 299 million years ago, saw massive coal-forming forests that would one day become the fossil fuels powering modern civilization. This time also produced the first reptiles, a crucial evolutionary step toward the creatures we recognize today. Now, for a quirky nugget. Some paleontologists speculate that the moon's gravity affected the length of the day during this period. Days were shorter, around 21 hours, which may have influenced how plants and animals evolved their circadian rhythms. If true, you could say life was literally dancing to a different beat. Historians still debate how significant these day-length changes were in shaping evolutionary paths. Did shorter days encourage faster metabolism? Or were other environmental factors more critical? The answers remain tantalizingly out of reach. Meanwhile, the moon's tidal pull shapes coastal wetlands and estuaries, nurturing biodiversity. These rich habitats become breeding grounds for fish and amphibians venturing onto land, setting the stage for the rise of vertebrates. You imagine the first amphibians lumbering from water to land, awkward and vulnerable, but driven by the promise of new territory. Their struggles are echoed in the ebb and flow of tides, challenging, relentless, but vital. The moon also helps stabilize Earth's climate, keeping seasonal swings in check so ecosystems can thrive. Without it, the world might have been too volatile for these complex communities to form. You feel the gentle tug of the moon, a constant presence in the sky, a quiet guardian of life's fragile beginnings. Its influence is subtle but profound, woven into the fabric of Earth's history. As you breathe deeply, the forest sounds fade to a whisper, the ancient world settling into a peaceful rhythm. The story continues, a cosmic lullaby inviting you to rest. Your eyelids grow heavy, the moon's glow soothing your mind and body. The world around you now teems with even more life, moving beyond the forests and seas to the skies themselves. You lift your gaze toward the horizon, where the first true birds take flight, wings beating against a sky lit by the moon's gentle glow. The dance between Earth and moon continues, an unbroken rhythm shaping every heartbeat and breath. By this point, the Earth's day has lengthened no longer the brief 21 hours of the Carboniferous, but creeping toward our familiar 24-hour cycle. This gradual slowdown, driven by tidal friction between Earth and Moon, subtly shifts the environment and the behaviors of creatures living within it. A mainstream fact: birds evolved from theropod dinosaurs around 150 million years ago, marking one of evolution's greatest leaps. Their feathers, initially used for insulation or display, eventually enabled powered flight. It's a breathtaking chapter, blending biology and physics, all unfolding under the watchful eye of our satellite. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some scientists believe the moon's gravity might influence animal migration and navigation by affecting Earth's magnetic field and tides, acting like a cosmic GPS. Birds, sea turtles, and even salmon might be tuned into this lunar signal, relying on it to find their way home. It's still debated, but feels like a wonderfully poetic connection. Historians still argue over the precise impact of the moon on life's evolutionary milestones. Was it a silent partner or a driving force? The truth is probably a mix of both, wrapped in a cosmic mystery. Meanwhile, Earth's atmosphere thickens with oxygen, supporting larger and more active creatures. Predators roam the land and sea, pushing evolution onward in an endless arms race. The moon's pool sculpts coastlines, carves bays, and creates tidal zones bustling with life. These dynamic areas become cradles of diversity, fostering new forms and behaviors. You feel yourself swept up in this vast story of wings beating, tides flowing, and time unfolding. The moon's ancient influence remains a constant thread, a lullaby woven through millions of years. Your breath slows, your mind quiets, and you drift with the gentle pull of gravity in history. The Earth and Moon continue their timeless dance, inviting you to rest within their cosmic embrace. Now, you float on the cusp of the present, where Earth's story converges with your own. The moon, forged from that ancient, violent embrace billions of years ago, remains a constant companion in the night sky's gentle pull, still shaping tides, climates, and even the rhythms of life itself. You stand beneath a starlit sky, the moon's silver light spilling over the landscape. Its phases mark time, guiding calendars, influencing human culture, and inspiring countless stories. The bond between Earth and Moon is not just physical, but deeply woven into the fabric of life and imagination. A well-known fact, humans landed on the moon just over 50 years ago, stepping onto its dusty surface and forever changing our relationship with this celestial neighbor. This milestone echoes the ancient collision that birthed the moon itself, a reminder of beginnings, endings, and new journeys. Here's a quirky reflection. Some scholars propose that the moon's presence helped shape human evolution by stabilizing Earth's climate and enabling predictable seasons, which in turn affected food availability and migration patterns. Without it, human history might have been radically different. Historians and scientists still debate the moon's full impact on our species and civilization. Was it a silent architect of destiny or simply a backdrop to our stories? Either way, it holds a place in our collective heart and mind. As you watch the moon's slow arc across the sky, you feel the ancient forces at play, the gravity that tugs oceans, the cycles that govern life, and the quiet, persistent rhythm that invites you to rest. The Earth and Moon story is a lullaby sung across time, a cosmic embrace holding you gently as you drift towards sleep. So now, with a soft sigh, you let your breath slow, your thoughts soften, and your body relax into the quiet night. The story has wound its way through deep time, from fiery beginnings to the gentle pull of tides and the first whispers of life. Now, as your own eyelids grow heavier, you can feel the steady rhythm of Earth and Moon syncing with your breath. Imagine the soft glow of moonlight filtering through leaves, the faint rustle of ancient forests, the endless rise and fall of tides just beyond your window. Let your thoughts settle, like sediment in a quiet pond, each ripple fading gently into stillness. The vastness of time wraps around you like a warm, familiar blanket, reminding you that you are part of this cosmic dance story, far greater than any single moment. Now, sink deeper into calm. Your body is heavy but relaxed. Your mind drifts like a leaf on a slow-moving stream. Feel the gentle tug of gravity, the soothing pull of cycles as you slip effortlessly into rest. Remember, the moon is always there watching, guiding, steadying, whispering a lullaby that stretches across the stars. Sleep well, dream gently. Tomorrow will come with the soft promise of a new tide, a new dawn, and another step in the eternal dance.